All right, thanks for joining me. Had a couple questions recently about the GE5 and a few basic maintenance or things that could happen. Sometimes these GE5s, because of how flexible their head is, these hoses up here, they take a lot of strain and move in a lot of different ways. One of the questions I had recently was this gray hose, the flexible hose, had come out of the head of the unit. Sometimes you can just screw that back into the head of the unit, and sometimes you have to take the unit apart. With a T15 bit, you're able to take out 6 screws here. I've already loosened them and taken them apart, so I'm going to take it apart now and show you. This head is attached, obviously, or the arm is attached at the head up here. You could remove that if you wanted to, or you can easily just take that apart, slide it to the side like you see there. A few different parts, they all have their positions, so you just want to make sure you get those back in the right spot when you do put it back together. You see here the gray hose, everything, like I said, has its own position, so as you take this apart, just notice how they fit into the grooves. You don't want to do a lot of pulling and things like that. I'll show you at the end of the video how to make sure that your cable is still engaged. But you can take this gray hose out, and as you do that, it's reverse thread on the pipe, just like it is on the hose for the vacuum. And I believe you can see, but that hose is separated from the head of the unit. Now, if it was to come out and you had to do this, obviously you're going to put it, it's going to screw very easily. And just remember that it's reverse thread. That's the hardest part of this whole thing, is getting that reverse thread down. Once you've got that figured out, it literally screws in until it stops. Once it stops, you know it's seated properly. Now it's a matter of making sure that you get all the parts and components back in the right spots as you put this back together. So that little piece had fallen out. Everything, like I said, has its own place. So you're going to seat that gray hose where it goes. There's only one spot where it sits. And then there's a hard sleeve style, and it sits also in only one spot. Once you get those where you believe it's correct, you're going to take this arm, swing it back, making sure everything's in the right spot. And that clamshell, you just clamp it together. And then it's a matter of just tightening up these screws. I'm not going to show you all the screws and putting them all together and everything, but what I am going to tell you is after you get this all tightened down and your clamshells back together, the way you make sure your cable's engaged properly is you can turn the head of the unit. And I don't know if you can hear that on the video, but I hear the motor moving. That means my cable's engaged properly. The next quick thing I wanted to just point out to you, I always like to point this out to GE5 users or GE7 users, is this little red clip. This comes in your owner's manual sometimes, or it's already on the hose, but this clip's important. This is the clip that actually connects it to the unit very easily. While we're talking about hoses and reverse thread and things like that, if you ever get a hose break out on a job site, just a quick note, you can also reverse thread these adapters off. It's a great feature. You're able to make a clean cut at your break and put this right back on your unit. Reverse thread. Get it in your head. Thanks for watching. I hope those quick tips are able to help you out on the job site. Fix your GE5.